Hey, this is Reed with Rapid Response Training and doing a video here tonight on the best everyday carry flashlight. Obviously talking about handheld flashlights. So I've got some here. These are all Surefires. I am very partial to Surefire. Wouldn't have to be one. But I'm gonna go over what I think the best one is and why. So I'll start here. So this is a Fury Tactical. This is a dual fuel, so it takes 18650 or CR123s. So the old school one was not, and it was a little bit dimmer. But it was the same size. It took CR123s. I think it was 500 lumens. Great light, totally dope, awesome light. But this is like an 1.5 inch bezel. All right, so even the one that didn't have the teeth on it, which I hate that it has that, just because of the size and then the edge of the bezel, it would tear through your jean pockets. So for me, a light this size is not an EDC light. So this is like a duty light, and this was my primary duty light when I was a cop. So it's got, you can see the scars from like sliding on the pavement. So yeah, dope light. I mean, the 500 lumens was awesome. So lumens are weird because like it all depends on how you measure it, and then how much do the lumens matter if the candela's not there. It's a whole thing. I'm just saying it because, you know, for reference or whatever. So that's that. Let's see how the camera picks this up. So I don't know if you can, yeah, I guess you can tell. So there's obviously a very bright hot spot with an outer ring of spill. So that's kind of what that light looks like. So moving on, this is the Surefire Tactician. So kind of my friend and mentor, James Yeager, helped design this light. And when it comes to like size, dude, you can't beat it. This is like the perfect size and shape for a handheld light. James wanted it bezeled up, and I respect James's opinion on that and respectfully disagree. It came with the world's best pocket clip, but for bezel up, right? So basically, I know 1,000 people who got these, and they're constantly emptying their lights because when they sit down, like the tail cap, you can't, maybe I angle it this way, yeah, whatever. The tail cap is pressing when they sit down. It's in their back pocket and it's turning on. So I want this to carry tip down, right? So that's something. And then also the beam on this, frankly, I totally get where his head was at, but I hate it, right? So this is like, I think it's called max vision beam. So these batteries are pretty dead, but the point here is to see the beam pattern. You can see there's not really a hot spot. It's just a big wide circle. And I mean, that's great because what I want is situational awareness, right? I want it to be as if I turned on the lights in a room. The problem is like, it just doesn't do it. So there's also like, okay, if I need more distance than the average, 3-meter gunfight, how does that work? Do I need to push through photonic barriers, right? So personally, for me, not this. I don't love this. I think this is like 800 lumens, but again, like it's weird how they measure the lumens because I definitely have like 500 lumen lights that are brighter than this. So I mean, what the lumen count is to me does not matter. It's like, how bright is it to me? Because my eyeball is the thing that is using it. So my eyeball is the best judge of how bright of a thing this is, right? I don't care what the stat sheet says. I care what my eyes say when I turn this on. So that's the Tactician. Form factor, literally perfect. It's got a little divot here in the bezel. You can see where I've got my lanyard tied in the front. I love that because I can have the lanyard essentially pre-staged. So when I grab it in my pocket, it's already in my hand, right? And then I can reload, I can fix malfunctions, I can, whatever I need to do, I don't have to, I'm not worried about dropping the light, I'm not worried about putting it back in a pocket or like whatever. It just is attached to my hand. So that's the same thing that this Thrim ring does as well, right? So it's in my hand, I can do my reloads, my malfunctions, I don't, it's attached to my hand. And then, so that's a big thing with the everyday carry light. I think you've got a hands-free, you need a hands-free way to do it. So obviously you can see I've got something like that on all these. So now click, switch versus a momentary only, and then a twist for constant. For this application of everyday carry, I'm looking at this light as my gunfighting light. So I might decide to use it for some, mundane task, but that's not what it's for, if that makes sense. So to be honest, I have a preference, but the click, to me, it's okay. You turn it on, you click it on, you click it off, and then you just get in trying to do the half click, I think, is when you're gonna run into problems, right? Because it's hard to do consistently. So in my opinion, if you have a click switch, the way to do it is train yourself until you can't get it wrong. Click on, click off. Now these obviously have an advantage because you don't have to worry about that, right? So just hold it down, let go. Now these are not as reliable as the proponents of them might say, because it requires you clamping down on it the whole time, and guess what? People let go sometimes on accident, right? Or they have their finger prepped and they get scared and they snatch it when they ought to remain in the dark. So there's pros and cons to both of these switches. I don't really care which one it is, but that's the scenario with these switches. So anyway, I'll take you to my favorite, the best one of all time right here. It is the Surefire EDCL2-T, and it's a 2T. Ignore that. Because it's a 2-cell. They make a 1-cell version that's like half the size, right? So it takes 2 CR123 batteries. This is a super dope light. It's like 1200 lumens. You can see it's the same diameter as the Tactician in the body. The bezel is slightly bigger. It's a little bit, it's in between these two, but it's a lot closer to the Tactician in size. So I've never worn a hole in any pair of pants from carrying this. I think it is supposed to be 1200 lumens. It's very, very bright, with good throw. And then this one, I don't think they make these anymore. This one has the gas pedal switch. So what that is it has an admin mode of low. I think it's 5, right? So a half press, and then a full press gives you all of it. So I have an admin, a 5 lumen, right? and then you can't, yeah, there you go. So the beam is so, you can see it throws, it's got a super, super bright hot spot and then a really wide circle of light, like, I don't know what you call that, halo or whatever. So this is a lot more tight, right? So might it throw better? Yeah, maybe, probably, I don't know. But this, you can see super, super bright, and like, look at this giant halo. So that's giving me a lot of the situational awareness that like the max vision beam or whatever they call that on the Tactician, where you don't have a hot spot, it's kind of achieving this same thing. So it's lighting up the biggest area possible. So yeah, anyway, so I think that's why I think this is the best light. It gives me a ton of spill and a ton of throw. It's super duper bright. Yeah, is it outperformed technically on the stat sheets by other lights? Yeah, it is, probably. I don't really know what they do, but yeah, this is sick. And this is actually my second one. I lost one in the ghetto back in the day using the regular pocket clip that came with it. So I guess I'll talk about some of the other stuff. This is it's got a little pirate boy, but this is a titanium pocket clip that was made by Green Force Tactical. This was a prototype. I have no idea if they still make these. This is also made for the Tactician, and I just smashed it on here because these lights are the same diameter, and I wanted the Surefire pocket clip that comes on it, that 2-directional pocket clip, sucks. Like, you're gonna lose your flashlight. So, and these aren't cheap flashlights, right? So having a good clip, aftermarket clip, there's other ways to possibly do it, but that's what I had, and it works really good. I was trying to figure out some way to do a lanyard, and then I found it like in a box. This is from 4.7's flashlight, which is like my first tactical flashlight I ever bought. It came with it. It says Handy Grip on there, but it's just a piece of rubber with a ring that can go around the front and back of the light. And I found this, and I was like, yo, I wonder if I could smash this on here, and I can. So that kind of solved my problem. I thought this one doesn't have any sort of divot where I could run the lanyard from like a shot cord. So I was like, maybe I'll just have to get real crazy with electrical tape. I'm like, I don't know. That seems like it sucks. So this has been working really good. Yeah, it's kind of goofy, but like, just folds up out of the way in your pocket. So anyway, yeah. So I've got Surefire lithiums in here. So use good batteries. This is the Surefire 18650, which actually that is a downside, is I don't really trust the battery in this. If this was still my duty light, I would have put a new battery in here, bought a new 18650 for it, and maybe even a different brand, because that Surefire one, for whatever reason, like, it doesn't seem like it charges really good. It doesn't hold a charge really good. I've not, and this has been the least. These two are like 100% reliable. These two little boys. This guy has been the least reliable out of all of them, and I think it's because of the battery, but maybe not. So, but I'm trying to think. Yeah, Surefire is just kind of my jam. I've had the EDC-1LT before, and honestly, like, I don't know if the output's different. It might just be runtime, but I kind of prefer the bigger lights, like, easier to hang on to, and in your pocket, like in a man's pocket, it doesn't really make a difference. It's like, this is not harder to carry. So, let's see. Yeah. So I found a graphic from Surefire. I'll try and roll it into the video at some point. Maybe it'll be like right here. All right, guys, so that turbo beam pattern, the one on the top of this graphic, that's pretty close to what the Fury light is, the big one, where it's all throw, pretty tight light pattern. The bottom one is the max vision, and that is the Tactician. That's what that is, where it's all spill and that's it. What I'm looking for is that hybrid beam pattern, right? So I want that super bright hotspot. It's going to throw really well as a wide spill, giving me the maximum amount of situational awareness. So I hope this graphic helps. But it'll be kind of comparing the beam, but the super tight hotspot is typically pretty good for throwing light a long ways or punching it through photonic barriers. I said that word before. Photonic barrier is a fancy word for like anything light has a problem pushing through. So one thing you might be familiar with is on a foggy day, or like super heavy snow when you're driving and you turn your brights on and it like your light doesn't push through that. It just reflects back at you and makes it even harder to see, right? That's why they have like fog lights and whatnot. So that's a photonic barrier. Window tint would be an example. Let's say another light source. So let's say a bad guy is standing behind a car that has headlights on pointed at you, right? So being able to, you're a little bit blinded by the headlights, so being able to push some light back that way and having enough to overcome that is big. And that's just another reason that to me, this light is not it. Philosophically, I agree with the direction that this light was going. I just don't think it executes on what I've found I need in real life. Now, I am a little bit biased because I worked nights for a long time as a cop, and flashlight was always in my hand, and pointed lights a lot of places, a lot of people, and a lot of cars, and whatever else. So the point here of having a handheld flashlight is obviously to be able to gain information, right? And I would also like to be able to deny somebody else information. And it can also be a little bit of an escalation tool as well. So gain information, let's say I think that something might be the matter in this dark area. I can, light it up and gain some information there. Now, denying somebody information, let's say that they're coming up for me with the like, hey man, do you have the time, or like whatever they're doing. And if I decide to point this at somebody's face, I can deny them information like by temporarily blinding them. So the emphasis on the temporary, this is not it will not be as effective as what you think it will be. What it can do is it can buy you that half second to start getting ahead of their OODA loop, right? So, or probably less than half a second, probably quarter of a second. So a little short deal on tactics that you're gonna have to come take a class if you want to really get this stuff. And that's the reason why a lot of people in my circle advocate momentary only lights is light on, see what you need to see, light off, move, right? You're gonna move with the light off, and untrained people, and I'm not throwing shade here, like I make this mistake myself when I'm not practicing. Light on, do what you need to do, and you move and you forget to turn the light off. And then what you're doing is you're just carrying a beacon around with you, telling everybody where you're going, right? Like, oh, good guy's going behind this piece of cover. Oh, he's going behind this piece of cover. Like, or worse, like a rifle, and it's shining up into the night sky like the bat signal, right? So light on, see what you need to see, do what you need to do, light off, move. So that's kind of the philosophy behind why people prefer the momentary switches. And again, personally, I don't really care. Have a click switch, just train yourself, click on, click off. or have a momentary and make sure that you're being careful of where you're placing that, where you're resting that thumb, so you're not accidentally NDing and giving some information away for free that you don't want to. But at the same time, making sure that you're positioned in such a way that you can reliably activate that light every single time and you're not going to miss. And like on a gas pedal, for example, like give it a half press when you need the full press. So anyway, there's other flashlights. I know Cloud Defense makes a cool one. My only hesitation with that is it's a lot closer to this size, and I think this is too big. I know Mod Light makes some. I don't see a lot of dudes carrying them. I don't know why. I've seen some broken ones. I don't really know what the deal is with Mod Light, to be honest. But Surefire is kind of the standard, and honestly, like this one specifically, I've never seen anybody make anything that comes close to this. Maybe it is, and you guys can educate me in the comments. But there's also like the Surefire Stiletto. I got a buddy that's got a couple. I wish I would have borrowed one for the video, but it's pretty cool. It's flat, kind of like a pocket knife, and it's got some like buttons on the top. I think Andy Stanford designed it. It's got some buttons on the top for admin stuff, like switching modes or whatever, and then one on the back that's just like high, all the way high. And that's a pretty cool light, especially if you're like, I use this for a lot of and it's rechargeable. If you're like, I use this for a lot of non-gunfighty type stuff, then cool, good to go. Personally, I just use the light on my phone if I'm like, oh, I need to look under the couch because my kid lost a toy, right? Or if it's something that is like, I can't really do that with my phone, it doesn't make sense or whatever, I have the 5 lumen setting, the low setting on here. I'll use that. Now, probably what I should do is keep a log of how many times I do that, because I should be changing the batteries out. I want to have, when manufacturers talk about lumens too, that's like only for the top 5 minutes of runtime, right? So after you go past like 5 minutes, it just tanks. So especially in some of like the super high performing lights. But anyway, so that's just kind of what I do. I don't have an admin light. Some dudes carry like a separate flashlight, like a little pen light, or they carry a little keychain light. Like Surefire makes a really cool one. I don't know. I don't feel like I use an admin light that much, so I carry a real light that I would want to have if I was going to be doing tactical type stuff, gunfighty type stuff, and that's it. And honestly, I don't really use it because I don't get in gunfights. So the main thing I used it for was when I was working as a cop and my partner would fail to be prepared. I could hand them this light, my duty light, and then I would just use this until we got, back to the precinct and they could switch it out with a light that had batteries. So anyway, yep, best EDC light. It's got throw, it's got spill, it's the right size, and yeah, that's it. Surefire EDCL2-T. This is Reed with Rapid Response Training. Be able to see in the dark. Don't be weird.